going on, Coach Marsh?
How we doing over there,
How
Cody?
you doing, man? You guys doing all right?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. Just hanging in there. How you doing over there?
Can't complain. Can't complain. Crazy times, but
Yeah.
you know, at least our family's staying home, staying safe.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you guys doing the same.
that's all that matters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right now, that's all that matters.
Well, listen, I appreciate you being with me today. Just want to touch on the UMaine baseball program, man. I know you guys have done a great job over there. Very fond of the program, what you all do. How long have you been at UMaine?
So this is my third year here now at the University of Maine. I came on in the summer of 17.
Beautiful.
I,
Enjoying it?
I love it up here. I really
Yeah.
do. I really do. It's the type of place, you come to once and you don't really ever want to leave, you know.
And how did you get involved with University of Maine?
Whew. I was running a travel baseball program back in New York, and like I was kind of communicating with a lot of different college coaches, and helping them out with their recruiting process. And I was sending out emails, making phone calls, doing all that type of thing. And whenever one of our kids would go on a visit, I would go with them. So I got to meet a lot of different coaches and kind of build up a network because I knew I always wanted to be a college coach. In doing so, Nick Durba, our head coach, got a bunch of emails from me. And, at one point I reached out, I sent out my resume and told him I'd be interested if anything ever came up. And sure enough, something came up. So he asked me if I was still looking for a job, and he brought me up here and, asked me if I'd like to come on staff. And, he's like, "You want to take a week or two and think about it?" And I was like, "No, I'm pretty good. I'll take care of whatever I need to take care of, and I'll be up here in 2 weeks." So
Happens just like that.
it happened really quick, and I have no regrets. It's been amazing coming up here. It really has.
Yeah, obviously it's worked out. Obviously you're having a great time. Like I said, everything we'll touch on. But the questions I have for you, can't tell you, can't say enough about the program, what you guys have done. So getting into that, tell me about the program. Give me a little bit about it.
So we play in the America East Conference. It's a 7-team conference.
Yep.
The school itself, we'll start with that. 14,000 students. It's a state university, so you have state tuition, and we have different programs where if you meet certain grades, 3.0 and 11.20, you actually qualify for in-state tuition at your respective state university.
Awesome.
So we have some different programs there. From the academic side of things, our two leading majors are engineering and business. The engineering programs in the top 20% of the country, and our business programs in the top 15%.
Awesome.
And variety of majors, as it's a state university, cover pretty much everything out there, and that kind of covers things from an academic side. Now, as far as our program goes, there's a lot of history here in Maine, and that was something that I found out very quickly in kind of coming up here. We've had 115 guys go on to play professional baseball, and we've been to 16 regionals and 7 College World Series.
Amazing.
So people care a lot about it. Like, go around,
University of Maine, 7 World Series.
yeah, it's pretty special. Like, you go around town and people know who you are.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to cut you off right there.
Yeah.
When we went up there for our winter camp, it was one of the first things I recognized. I think we came in, man, it had to be 11:30 midnight. And you would know better than I did. I think it was a Longhorn Steakhouse or some type of roadhouse that was right there near Orono or in Orono. And myself and my assistant coach, Coach Mann, we walked in, and every single person had a UMaine sweatshirt on, UMaine hat, anything that was related to UMaine. It was like everybody there was just all in. Not even just for baseball, but all into the school itself.
Sure, all into the university, and you don't find that in many places.
No.
Like, it's a true college town, and it's a type of place where everybody knows everybody. You walk around town, they know that you're a baseball player, they know that you're a coach. You see Scott at the gas station, You know, in Orno, he's going to say, "Hey, coach, how's it going? You know, who's pitching this weekend? What do we got going on?" And like people care. So that struck me right away. So, you know, and talking about the program, those are some of the types of people that you get involved with, you know, on the outskirts of it. And then internally, you know, our head coach, and obviously, you know, I wouldn't say anything negative, or would
Correct.
I ever think anything negative, because I think he does an excellent job. I mean, Coach Darbo has played, you know, professionally with the
Same
St. Louis
mind. Yep.
Cardinals organization. Really smart guy. Has done a really good job with the program. You know, academically, the last few years, we've set records for, you know, team GPA and having, you know, 24 guys over a 3.0, and that's something that we're very proud of. It's something continuing to strive to, you know, kind of push the limits even further. So there are a lot of great things that are going on up here outside of baseball. So,
Well, listen, touching on the whole baseball side, one of the things, again, going back to me being on campus and just listening to you all as if I was a player, you guys talked about culture. That was a huge part of your mission statement when speaking to the players. And go ahead and brief me on that again.
So first and foremost, we talk about being process oriented. So
I love that, by the way. Love that.
It's I know process can be, you know, a cliche. It's something that's spoken about a lot, and there's a good reason for that, because there's a lot of backing to it. You know, when it's trusting in it, you know, and that's what baseball is. You know, sometimes you do everything right, you know, and you don't get the results that you want. And we talk to our guys about not only, you know, trying to prepare them and take a look at their preparation all the time for each baseball game, but also taking a look at their preparation for everything that they do. So it goes back to how they get ready, how they come to the field, you know, how they behave in the locker room, you know, how the field gets set up. All those little things are very important to us. And it's kind of taken off where, you know, we started speaking about a lot of these things in the last couple of years, and where they're policing themselves a lot of the time too. And that's when you know that you have something that's really good. Our teams have progressively gotten closer and closer every single year, and that's something that's really important to us. You know, because I mean, they spend so much time together.
It's a
And
long season.
it is, and our facility allows that to kind of happen as well too. In addition to all the travel and doing everything that we do, you know, we have our clubhouse right on campus. We have our field right on campus, our locker room, all of our indoor stuff right on campus. So our guys have an opportunity to spend time together outside of baseball. So I think that really aids in the team culture as well too.
That's awesome. And I think going back to what you said previously, small town Orono, can't really make mistakes as a player there without someone finding out, which is a nice feeling. You know, as a coach, I'm sure it's nice to know that there is eyes everywhere. People care about the program, and I'm sure the boys and the culture you guys establish, you know, you guys teach them that, and it becomes a family thing.
Right. I mean, this is more than about baseball.
Yeah.
If we're doing our job right, you know, these 4 years that they have are a great 4 years, but there's better time ahead of them.
Yeah.
It's not about these 4 years. It's about how they're prepared for life after college, whether it be to go on and play professionally and have every opportunity to have success at the professional level, or in their family lives as fathers, as a family man in the real world, you know, doing real world work.
100%.
You know, that's where that team culture kind of goes from there. And, you know, we talk about a lot of things with our guys, and some of the things that we've done in the past. I mean, you know, we've taken the time to go to lunch with some of our guys, and, you know, really get to know them, you know, because with us, our players aren't just a guy on the field. You know, they're more than that. You know, they're a person. And we have an open door policy. They come up, they speak to us whenever they like. You know, some of our guys make a cup of coffee, sit down in the office, talk over some video. Some of them are sitting there watching Sports Center, hanging out. You know, some of them are telling us things about their personal lives. Some of them are just having conversation, just trying to hang out with us.
And that's an awesome feeling as a college student athlete, especially. And kind of the lead into that, I know, um, I'll touch base on one more thing in terms of you guys being so close and a tight unit. I know when you walk into the clubhouse, like the upstairs portion, I know you guys have done family meals there,
Yep.
team meals, things like that, which again, I love. I love how everybody's close together. They're all working together. But I'm assuming leading into the before they get there, when you're looking at them while they're in high school as a recruit or a potential recruit, I'm assuming you're looking for some of those same categories, some of those same characteristic traits. That way it leads into that. Am I assuming correctly?
100%. I mean, the guys that we love having on campus with us, are guys that are going to work first. Like
Yeah,
that's one of the larger things, and when you're talking to a lot of people, everybody's a hard worker, but you eventually find out who the real workers are and who
yeah,
aren't. Because we have a younger staff, and we're at the office all the time. Like, we're going to work.
yeah,
Like, we're going to be there. There's been plenty of days that I've been in there from 7:30 in the morning until 10, 11, 12 at night. And we're going to be there for our guys, and we want our guys to want to work too. We want those types of people. Uh,
absolutely.
if they're serious about improving, if they're serious about improving in any facet of life, it's about work ethic. So that's one of the things that we love having. We also we love having guys that are just good people. Good
Yeah,
teammates. They support their teammates. They make a mistake, they move forward. They help other people move forward. They're the first guy out of the dugout to high five somebody when they do something good. It to win a championship, in my opinion, to win a championship, you have to have those types of people. When you have a guy that hits a ball in the gap, and the left fielder drops it, and he looks at the scoreboard to see if it's a double or an error. That's not a guy that
yeah,
that wants to win. That's a guy that wants it for me. That wants it on his stat sheet. And those two things should be working hand in hand. But those are some of the things that we enjoy having with us, guys that put the team first. And those are things that we talk about all the time. We have classrooms every single Wednesday in the fall. We go over some things that have to do with baseball. We go over some things that have to do with just what we want out of our players, and developing them off the field as well too.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I like to hear, because a lot of the times, especially being a part of Scorpions,
Mm-hmm.
and being in this industry for a good amount of time, a lot of the focus, and rightfully so, for the student athlete that's looking to be recruited, you got to have the skill set, you have to have the technique, things that are baseball specific.
Sure.
But it's nice to hear that you're looking more into that. That's something we try to tell our players too. It's simple little things, hustle, being a positive teammate, all those little details. That it's great to hear coaches acknowledging that and looking for that, as well as the skill set.
100%. Like, I would rather have a kid that's going to put in the work, that's going to hustle all the time,
Yeah,
that's going to do all that stuff. Like, we have some of those guys on our team right now, and it is an absolute pleasure to work. And I'm sure you know that as a coach too.
yeah,
Like,
yep,
you love those kids. The kids
yeah.
that you give them information, they're like, I want more. I'm going to take that. I'm going to do that right away. Those guys that are like a little bit like sick in the head, like they're a little bit off.
It's a different breed, but it's a good thing.
It's a really good thing, and those are the guys that like we want to be surrounded by.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, just being in the times we are, how is the COVID-19 virus affecting you guys with recruitment? Anything, any effects whatsoever?
No, it honestly it hasn't like it's impacted some things with like the transfer type stuff, but as far as like our high school stuff goes, our all of our committed guys were honoring all of our commitments, so it hasn't changed
Awesome.
anything with that. It's a crazy time out there, that's for sure. As but it's an opportunity, and it really is, and that's what we've tried to tell our guys. We've put together some programs for them, to look at, to do during this time. Some things, keeping in mind social
Yeah.
distancing and all of that, of course, but things that they can do at home, with their families. And this is a great time to spend time with your family. I mean, How many times have you had in your
Listen,
lifetime of baseball? Have you had around your family? I'm sure your wife must love it.
listen. I was laughing earlier because they were sneaking by the hallway.
Mhm.
Try not to interrupt, but I told her we were talking about the other day. Um, we're very fortunate. I've got a 5-year-old
Right.
who loves baseball, which I love. But we work opposite shifts. She's a teacher. I work the late night shift doing
Mhm.
all the baseball work.
Yep.
And you know how that life is. So that's never
Absolutely.
ending. Um,
Absolutely.
but it's just it went from being a time where it looked scary and a place that we've never been in to a time where it's been awesome being around as a family consistently,
Mhm.
and just being thankful for what you have and understanding that there's a lot more to life than baseball.
Listen.
I know a lot of young guys have been there, and you have too.
Mhm.
The younger you are, certain things feel like they're the most important things in the world. And but I think it's a time to step back and really understand what is important.
Listen, it teaches us lessons just like
Yeah,
baseball teaches us lessons.
100%.
Like
Life throws you a curveball, right?
it throws you a curveball. You know, you're going to deal with some adversity. You're going to deal with adversity in this game. You're going to deal with it. We're dealing with adversity right now. You know, you're going to deal with adversity in the real world, and it's how you respond to it. I mean, you could look at this virus as, you know, oh man, this is why I'm not getting recruited. Oh man, this is not why. This is why
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
getting drafted. Oh, you know, this is why we didn't win. You know, because of the virus. You know, because I had no opportunity to get better. No, this is an opportunity to grow. You
yeah.
know, we have all this time right now to read, to work out, to do all these things that we can do and spend times and reflect and figure out how we can make ourselves better. And I think that's a really it's a great opportunity for all of us.
It's like I was telling some of our players too. You find out who you really are.
Exactly.
And just like you said, and I've touched on this with parents and players that are calling, and rightfully so.
Hmm.
Um, Crazy times, and everyone's a little unaware of how to handle things. But the one thing I've pointed out to them is it's an even scale. Everybody's in the same boat right now. It's a country thing,
Hmm.
and this is where you find out. And nothing pleases me more than getting videos of kids, with just a tee in a pop-up net or a tee in an open field, taking swings. Coach, how's my swing look?
Hmm.
Throwing balls off the fence, throwing balls off the house, and just trying to stay in shape. I know I follow the Grizzlies all the time, and guys, doing sprints with the tire around their back, and
Yeah,
I mean, it's stuff like that you can really find out. There's no excuses right now. It's an even scale, and right now, whoever's going to be the nitty gritty type kid that wants it, it might end up working in his favor.
100%, 100%. I couldn't
Beautiful.
say it any better. I mean, it's uh it's an opportunity. That's it. It's an opportunity to grow. You know,
Yeah,
we find, like you said, we find out who we really are right now, and I love that. That's awesome.
100%. Well, listen, I'll finish off with last two things here. I was going to talk about daily life as a student athlete. I thought you talked about it previously. I'll let you elaborate a little more on that.
Mhm.
And if you can, just because I've been there, I'd like to hear more about the facilities in general and why being a student athlete also ties in with the things you can do not only in the classroom but at the facility.
Sure. Okay. So average life in the day of a Maine black bear would be, so if you're a freshman student, all of our freshmen are in a student athlete only dorm. It's called Knox
Yeah,
Hall.
yeah,
After their first year, they can move off campus if they'd like. Many of them will, only because the cost of living in the area is low relative to the cost of room and board. So oftentimes they save money in doing so.
yeah.
And there's 3 apartment complexes that are right across the street from the university that are privately owned that only rent out to University of Maine students. So they only rent
Awesome.
out to college students. So it's not like they're, intermixed with families and things going on in the community and, and strangers and such. So regardless, whether you're a freshman and you're waking up in Knox Hall or you're in one of the apartment complexes or somewhere in the area as an upperclassman, wake up. There's 3 cafeterias on campus that are all you can eat buffet style.
There you go.
There's another one that's a little bit higher end that uses what's called bare bucks. which is kind of like your other dining fund that you can use. So wake up, they grab breakfast. Many of them will come down to our clubhouse, drop off their stuff and head to class if they have morning class. If they don't have morning class, a lot of times they'll just spend their day there. They'll do homework upstairs because we have our lounge upstairs in our clubhouse, and they'll hang out up there, knock out some homework. If they need to go into the academic center, as freshmen have 6 hours of mandated study hall,
right.
All new students have that their first year. They'll head on over to our academic center, which is student athlete only. There's plenty of Mac computers and plenty of space and tables in there for them to knock out their work. Come back over. After class, we have practice typically at 3:30 each day, depending on the time of the year. We're doing something a little bit different this fall, where a couple days a week we're going to be going in the morning. It just works better for classes, with some of our heavier class schedules being early in the week. But we're typically at 3:30, and then there'll be lift after practice on many of our days in the spring season. So they'll go practice, lift. We have our rec center as well too, which has a few basketball courts. It has deck hockey, has the lifting area if they want to do an additional lift.
Gotta have the hockey at Maine.
Oh, 100%. Yo, and I think we spoke about this when you came up.
Yeah.
But it's going on now. This is the first year that they didn't, but 3 years our team has won the intramural deck hockey championship.
That's awesome.
It's something they get really excited about. They get jacked up about that. But we want them to go out, compete, and just, experience college, in a healthy way, and there's a lot to that. And that kind of builds on the team culture thing too, and spending more time with your teammates and doing something outside of just seeing that guy in the locker room going to practice.
Well, and that's why I like what you said about it being a healthy way, because same thing, we've been through it. You can easily get tied up, especially mentally, to same thing one day, same thing the next day. And it's just repetitive. And as much as some people think that can be a good thing, it can also harm you a little bit when you lose certain perspectives on things. So great to hear that.
Absolutely. So that's typically how a normal day would work. Now, it all depends on the time of the year. So in the fall, what we'll do is there's two portions to the fall. So you have 45 days as per NCAA rules in the fall. Have your regular fall season. So with your regular fall season, you have 20 hours of practice and baseball activities and lifting activities included in that. So we'll practice 6 days a week. Within those practices, there's going to be a couple inter squads as well too. We'll usually play right around 8 to 10 games or scrimmages in the fall, with a couple of those games being outside competition. Right around mid-October, we'll start on our individual period, and that's where you get into some more hitting group stuff. That's where we start to break down a lot more mechanical work with our staff and our pitchers. We'll get going with our pitching coach and our head coach as well, because they kind of work. Coach Heath does a really good job with our pitchers. And Coach Sherba will be there a lot of the time too as well, and kind of putting them through their deload phase. And then as they start to build up as we get closer to the season, what happens that second half of the fall. That second half of the fall, we're going to lift. We're going to go from 3 days a week of lifting to 4 days a week of lifting, as the hours kind of change from 20 hours a week down to 8. So 4 hours of baseball activity and 4 hours of lifting activity. And then when we get into the spring, we'll have a couple lifts a week. We'll have 2 lifts during the week, and then we'll usually have a recovery lift on the weekend. And our strength and conditioning coach, he does an excellent job. He's also our athletic trainer. So the great part about that, for many mid-majors, they're not able to travel their strength and conditioning coach. So he's able to go out there with us. He's able to be in the hotel with us. And
That's huge.
He's a tremendous resource to guys, and being able to administrate those lifts on the road, and be there for anybody that needs anything. And he also knows the body just as well as anybody else does. and he knows somebody's hamstring might be bothering them. He knows that this is going on or that might be going on. So when he puts together their lifts, he can make a lift for that individual.
Right.
And it cuts down on a lot of the injuries. And, fortunately, we've had significantly less injuries in the last few years. And it's kind of a trend that's been decreasing over time. Guys are staying on the field more. They're getting more mobile, and they're getting stronger, which is a great thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is a good thing because I personally, this is my personal belief, I think you guys play one of the toughest schedules, non-conference schedules in all the country. I mean, every single year, the springtime comes around, I look at the UMaine schedule, and you are down south immediately. And I've seen a lot of colleges go down south, and of course, being a northern school, it's much easier to make sure you're guaranteed games. But I mean, you guys are down there for a while, or coming back and shooting right back down there, and you're not just playing. Your average Joe. I correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen like Texas Tech and some enormous Mississippi State.
Yeah. So my first year, we opened up at Texas Tech. We played Miami that year. We played New Mexico State as well that year. We played a lot of very good mid majors down that way. UTRGV was one of them. We played a lot of good teams that my first year. My second year here, for the first 7 weeks, we had the number 2 strength of schedule in the country. And playing, we opened at Florida State, then we went to Maryland, then we went to Liberty, then we went to Mississippi State, and then Samford, who's a very good team.
Very good, very good.
Alabama and Troy.
Always underrated.
Yeah, so we played against some really good teams, and I think it did a lot of good for us. You have to have the right mentality kind of going into it. You want to compete, you want to win, but you also want to learn too.
Yeah.
Outside of providing a great experience for our guys, and playing in front of 15,000 people at Mississippi State, it also provides exposure. Jeremy Payne is one of our guys, and I'm sure you had a question about him being.
Always.
Jeremy's a great kid. But, when we're down at Texas Tech, he turns around a 97, 98 mile an hour fastball, and puts it over the left center field fence, and there's plenty of people there to see him.
Yeah.
That's one way to continue to, show people that you can do it, is by competing against those guys and showing your abilities. And outside of that, you want to be the best. You want to play in a regional. You got to play against those teams.
Well, and that's why I like it. It gives you that aspect. And the other thing, I mean, just to be honest, you guys are a mid-major. And, more than likely you need to win your conference in order to get into regional. So why not throw the kids right into the gauntlet and show them exactly what they're going to get, exactly where they need to be. You talk about being process oriented. That's a great way of just showing them exactly where they need to be at the end of the year. And I'm sure it's no schedule, no matter what conference you're in, is easy. I get it. You guys have stacks and stacks. And I think people, don't understand this aspect when it comes to scouting reports and everything else. You guys know each other like the back of your own hands. So it doesn't get easier, but to see that and to get the exposure from that, I mean, it's a perfect package.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And from an offensive standpoint, I mean, you're going in and you're seeing, a number 1 or number 2 in our conference, but you're not seeing them twice in a weekend. You're seeing them 13, 14 times in each weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
For the first 6, 7 weeks. So in terms of getting our hitters on time and seeing some really good stuff all the time, I think it definitely prepares us and gets us ready to go.
Yeah, and then I'll finish up with this. I mean, again, you spoke a ton about the program, what you all do. I know you guys got kids from Florida. You kids coming from all over the place. It's not even just New England or the Northeast, which I love. But ultimately, each year, there's a couple of UMaine kids on that draft board, and you talked about him briefly. Jeremy Pena, he's a Rhode Island great, and he was I believe a 3rd round draft pick, and he's done great things. Obviously, I'm sure you're aware of it. Still working out with them and everything, but it's not even just Jeremy Pena. Every single year, there's a guy in the top 10 rounds, another one that comes through in the teens and in the 20s. And it's just funny to see, Maine, a program that isn't a national known program. But again, you go back to everything you said, process oriented, looking for the right player to come in that fits the mold as a family, the way they handle their student athlete life, the way they utilize the facilities, healthy environment, and then you get them into the gauntlet and so on and so forth. I mean, it seems to all come into one, final clear picture. And there it is right there. You got guys getting drafted.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had 6 guys in the last 2 years go on to play professionally.
That's huge.
My first year, Jeremy, Chris Beck.
Yep.
Was our catcher. He went in the 5th round.
Yep.
The Toronto Blue Jays. And we had Brandon Weissens, who was our center fielder and is now with the Chicago Cubs. And then my second year, we had Cody Lawson, who's our number one.
Good pitcher.
One pitcher, or would pitch on Saturdays and in our 7-inning game as we got late in the year. And he went to the Minnesota Twins in the 14th round. And then Nick Silva got drafted by the Chicago White Sox. He was also a pitcher for us, a weekend starter for us, and great arm. He went to the White Sox. Then we had Danny Casales, who was our third baseman, who ended up with the Milwaukee Brewers. But every single one of those guys had something in common, and it's because they worked. They made the most of what we have here at the University of Maine. That's what we want out of our guys. We want those guys, as I said earlier, that that go into the clubhouse and work. It's all there if you want it. We have 2 cages in there. There's 5 mounds in there. We have a dome as well too, right behind.
I was gonna say that you got the whole dome too.
Exactly. So if you want to put in the work, you can put in the work. And as I said earlier, we're there to work. So, if they need anything at any point in time, they know that they can come to us. They know that they can come sit down with us and speak to us about, whether it be one of their at-bats, offensive approach, their swing, taking ground balls, whatever it might be, they can come to us. And those are the guys that have a lot of success, and that's what we really look for. And all of those guys really put in the work. They really did, and it showed. And it showed.
Well, I'll leave it with this last story. Same thing when we came up there as a group and got to participate for the recruitment camp. One of our favorite things we ever did, and what really set the tone for our kids, and not even our kids, just us as coaches being there, was, I believe, we had a 9 a.m. start. We were in the dome, and I think my coach and I got there probably about half hour, 45 minutes early, just to check it out. And I think it was Jeremy Pena and probably 4 or 5 other kids in a full-on sweat, running parachutes, doing everything. And this is during a time in which they don't even have to be doing it. This is winter break. No, they're by themselves. They're on their own, doing everything by themselves. And right there, I remember our kids walking in and kind of looking, and it's like, we talked to them, and it was like, I've been here since 5 a.m. And it's like, there you go. That's the type of kid that you need to be if you want that. And it's very plain and simple. That's why I like it. If you're one of those kids, you'll fit in great. If not, you need to learn.
Well, that's something that I've been very fortunate to be around, and you want that as a coach. And I said that earlier and I talked about that, but when you have those types of kids, it makes our job that much easier. We're not pushing kids and telling them, hey, you got to hustle. Hey, you gotta work hard. Hey, you gotta do that. You gotta do that. When you have guys like Jeremy, when you have guys like some of the guys that we've had in the past and currently have, they push each other. And many of them are talking to each other right now. Oh, what are you doing right now? They're sending each other video. They're talking about things as well too, and that's a beautiful thing. It really is. And when they're able to teach something to somebody else, they're able to learn it that much better themselves. So
absolutely,
it always makes me so happy when I see those guys in there together, whether it's they're working on something offensively, working on something defensively, running sprints. Pena's got the parachute. He's got the tire.
Always,
waist, whatever it is he's doing, all those great things that he does, or many of our guys do the same thing. It just brings you a smile to your face as a coach.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate it. I covered everything I need to cover. Again, I appreciate the time. I know you guys still are busy, even though it is a different time with all this going on. But I appreciate you at least, talking to me and giving me some of this information. And I'll leave it with, stay safe. Keep working hard like you always do. Tell everybody I said hello, Coach Durban, and everybody else. And we wish you guys the best. And hopefully we'll be seeing each other relatively soon.
I'm looking forward to that, Cody. Definitely.
All right, man. Well, listen, thanks again, Coach Marsh.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have a good one.